Today I'm comparing the Asus V16 to the Asus Zephyrus G16. One is a budget-oriented gaming laptop in disguise, while the other is a premium ultrabook that is also a gaming laptop. But the price difference between these two is quite big. So what does that higher price give you? And is it worth it? Or should you just save your money? Let's find out. And please like and subscribe if you like these type of videos. From the outside, these two are trying to look professional in two different ways. The V16 is trying to look boring on purpose, like it's a regular office laptop with nothing too flashy. But the Zephyrus wants to show what it is, a premium ultrabook / gaming laptop with a sleek chassis. Both of them look quite professional, but the Zephyrus has this LED strip on the back, which can be turned off. But the Zephyrus has a full aluminum body, so it feels like an absolute tank. While the V16 only has a metal top lid, while the rest of its body is all plastic. So it feels a bit cheaper and might bend and creak a bit more. The Zephyrus is also slightly more lightweight, so using it with one hand is more comfortable than on the V16. And the Zephyrus is going all in on thinness. It's basically the thinnest gaming laptop you can buy. And they both are still gaming laptops, just in different sizes. I spec'd them as close as I could, so we can really see how these two compare with the same components. And the biggest difference you should notice right away is their GPU wattages. The Zephyrus has quite a bit more power to work with, which should mean more performance. And the Zephyrus also has way faster GPU options, for if 8GB of VRAM just isn't enough for you, while the V16 caps out at this RTX 5070. As for their ports, the Zephyrus definitely wins here. It has an extra USB-C port and even an SD card reader, which might be handy if you're a creator. They both have pretty big power bricks, but the V16 one is definitely smaller, which isn't necessarily a good thing, because a smaller brick means less power overall for its components, and less power means less performance. You could use a smaller charger for both of them if you want to though, because they both support USB-C charging. The only difference here is that the Zephyrus has USB-C ports on both the right and left side, so it can be charged from two sides. Now onto their keyboards. They both have single zone lighting, but the Zephyrus has an RGB backlight, for those that want it. But I definitely prefer the keys on the Zephyrus. The V16's plastic chassis is just a bit more flimsy, and it bends a little if you're a hard typer. The Zephyrus just feels a lot nicer to type on. Oh, and it also has extra macro keys at the top here, which can be reprogrammed, which is pretty handy. But what about their trackpads? Well, the one on the Zephyrus is made of glass, so it feels nice and sturdy. But the V16 has a plastic one, and this feels kind of cheap. The same goes for their clicks. The Zephyrus feels premium and well balanced, while the V16 sounds like you're crushing an ant under a napkin. I mean, of course you have to budget on some parts, but the V16's trackpad is just... please just use a mouse. One of the biggest differences between these two though is their displays. The V16 has a decent 144Hz Full HD IPS panel, but the Zephyrus has a 2.5K 240Hz OLED panel, which is basically the best display you can get on a laptop. On this display, the colors are way more vibrant, color accurate, it has infinite contrast, and blacks look actually, well, black. This is essentially like comparing a CRT display to a movie theater. And OLED does not have a backlight at all, so it'll look a lot better in the dark as well. The higher resolution is also a big saver, since 1200p at 16 inches just isn't super clear. But the Zephyrus's 2.5K display looks just right. It's also a lot smoother, not just because it has almost double the refresh rate, but because OLED also has way faster pixel response times. So playing games is definitely more enjoyable on the Zephyrus. It also gets a lot brighter, which is great for if you're gonna use it outside, And while the Zephyrus' screen is glossy, it has the best anti-reflective layer out of any laptop right now. So it actually handles reflections better than the matte coating on the V16 in my opinion. The only advantage the V16 has over the Zephyrus is the fact that its hinge can go back a full 180 degrees. Now, when it gets to speakers, cheaper laptops are usually not that great. It's an easy part to cheap out on since most people use headphones anyways. But listen to this. Yes, the Zephyrus sounds a lot better, but the V16 is really not that bad. It has a decent amount of volume, and while it sounds a bit muffled, its bass actually sounds good. But the Zephyrus still destroys it. With way more volume, the best bass on any Windows laptop, and even surround sound, it has pretty much the best speakers on any laptop right now. But neither one of these is gonna disappoint you. Both of their microphones sound really good, but the V16 definitely has a bit of distortion on it. Both of their webcams are also good enough, but the Zephyrus just uses more sharpening. Also, the V16 has a webcam switch at the top here, while the Zephyrus does not. But the most important part here is their performance. These two are spec'd almost exactly the same, but the V16 has lower power limits. So how much slower does that make it? Well, in Cinebench R23, it should be obvious that an Ultra 9 is gonna be faster than a Core 7. And in this case, by quite a bit in both single and multi-core performance. And in 3D Mark TimeSpy, we really see how big of an impact that wattage limitation makes on the V16. Its RTX 5070 is quite a bit slower. So at least in benchmarks, the Zephyrus is quite a bit faster than the V16, mainly because of its limitations. But these are gaming laptops, so let's see how they compare in some actual games.
Paco, you are teaching de la squadise.
I'll hack you to pieces. Ha! You'll never take me down.
What did you do, man? No!
Okay, to make it a bit more fair, I ran every game at 1200p on the Zephyrus, so that they ran at the same resolution. But even if I ran the tests at its full resolution, it still would have beaten the V16. In some games, the difference really isn't that big, mostly because the V16 still has a pretty good CPU. But in heavy, GPU-intensive games, the Zephyrus outperforms the V16 by a lot, because it really pushes its power limits. Like I said in the V16 review, when a laptop can only get 150 watts in total, you really can't hand out much power to both the CPU and GPU. And since the laptop RTX 5070 is a 115 watt chip, running it at almost half of that really is not good for performance. So no matter how you put it, the Zephyrus is simply a lot faster, because it has higher power limits for both the CPU and GPU. But how do their cooling systems compare? The Zephyrus is quite a bit thinner than the V16, so does it run hotter? Well, the short answer is yes. The Zephyrus does have more cooling, but you can't beat thermodynamics. Since it has less physical space for cooling, both its CPU and GPU run a little hotter than on the V16. They both do stay clear of their thermal limits, but the Zephyrus is really cutting it close with its GPU. Both of these laptops do not overheat though, so you can always just run a more aggressive fan profile if you want them to run cooler. But which one makes more fan noise? The Zephyrus is a little quieter. The V16 just has a less space-efficient chassis, so it has a lot less space for cooling. And while the Zephyrus has more space for cooling, it simply pushes its components a lot further, so it runs a little hotter. Now, what about their battery life? The Zephyrus has a way bigger battery, so does it last longer? Well, I compared their battery life in two scenarios, under light use and during gaming. In the light use scenario, I played a YouTube video on them until their batteries died, with their displays at 60 Hz, at 300 nits, and with their dedicated GPUs turned off. And do I even need to say anything? The Zephyrus has a way bigger battery, so obviously it lasted longer. But that's not the entire story. The Ultra 9 in the Zephyrus has two low power efficiency cores, which helps the laptop use less power while on battery. But the Core 7 240H in the V16 doesn't have any, so it uses a lot more power when it could use less. And both of these factors added together gives the Zephyrus G16 almost double the battery life. But what about gaming? Well, I played Battlefield 1 until their batteries died with the same settings as before. And of course, the Zephyrus did last considerably longer, but you should not buy a gaming laptop if you want to play games on the go on battery. Just get a gaming handheld instead. Now, normally gaming laptops are very upgradable, but thinness does play a factor here. And since the V16 is thicker, is it more upgradable? Well, yes actually. The V16 has two SODIMM slots, which means it has fully upgradable RAM, while the Zephyrus has it all soldered, so memory upgrades are impossible. But the Zephyrus has two M.2 SSD slots, which makes storage upgrades very easy. While the V16 only has one, so you either have to clone your drive or fully reinstall Windows if you want to replace it with a bigger drive. But they both have a Wi-Fi card slot, which could be handy in the future. But here's the biggest difference between these two, and it's definitely the most important one: their pricing. The Asus V16 is really not that cheap. It's supposed to be a budget gaming laptop, but compared to other faster laptops, it's actually a little bit expensive. But the Zephyrus is on a whole nother tier. This is a premium, thin gaming device, and you're paying a premium for that. They both have way cheaper models as well though, which are probably a little more worth it for most people. I'll put links for both of these in the description below for those that are interested. Which brings us to our conclusion. Which one of these is more worth it? The Zephyrus G16 or the Asus V16? Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with the Zephyrus here. Yes, it is a lot more expensive, but if you can spare the money, it is one of the best laptops you can buy, full stop. It has the best of the best display, the best speakers on a laptop, it's lightweight and has great build quality, and it performs really well. The only thing the V16 has over the Zephyrus is that it's cheaper, but it is not a cheap laptop. Compared to other budget gaming laptops that perform the same, it's way more expensive. Yes, that is partially because it is a pretty new laptop that still has to drop in price, but I can't look in the future, so I don't know if it's gonna be worth it in 2 or 3 months. Look, here's my advice. If you can spare the money, absolutely get the Zephyrus, because it is one of the best all-round laptops that money can buy. But if you're on a budget, do not get the V16, get the TUF A16. Because the A16 is in every way better than the V16, but at a cheaper price. That's a pretty easy choice, right? Now let me give a huge shout out to my YouTube members. Soundwife, Thomas, Inky, Mr. Frosty Dude, Dropzone1, Martijn Snijkers, Flimsy, Aki, Disco Volante, Mr. Nuke, Sebastian, Christian Sands, Real Elf, Eric the Rat, Wesley Rhodes, Michael, Ghost Data, Anugadar, Abdullah, and Makepeace. If you become a YouTube member, you get early access to content of mine, a shout out at the end of every video, and you'll also be supporting me as a creator to make these videos. And of course, you'll also be part of the Cool Guys Club. So you can use cool emojis like these in the comment section. So join the club if you're interested. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye bye.
If you have metal in your hands, you'll explode, so don't do that.
Is a flashlight made of metal?